on my personal Facebook profile for right now, but this is a life and business announcement. So if you're watching, say hi and let us know where you're from, and that'll let us know whether everything is working, because this is our first time doing this. I have done a couple of lives, but it's been a long time. So if you're watching, let us know, say hi, and let us know where you're from. So, for those of you who don't know, we are in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area of Ontario, Canada. And so that's where we're from. So, I have with me today my husband, and we wanted to announce that he is going to be joining Joyful Notes full time with us. And he's been working with us for a couple of weeks now. We've done a lot of work in that time. So, we're glad to have him and welcome to the team.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here, and we'll talk a little bit about some of that work that we've been doing. And just really excited to be part of the business. I always kind of liked the idea of having a small business, but I never had a concept that I could kind of go to market with. And so Angela had the concept, a very unique concept for teaching kids how to play the piano. And so I'm going to be working on kind of more of the business development side and sales side and marketing side. And that's going to allow Angela to spend more time producing new product and stuff that she knows more about, because I don't know anything about music or a lot about music. And so she's going to spend more time doing that. So I working the last number of years in the life insurance industry, and really enjoyed my job. And my company went through some downsizing over the summer, later in the summer. And so then just kind of looking around for opportunities, and another opportunity didn't work out. And so just thinking about kind of our next steps. And I was thinking about this, and then Angela was thinking about it too, but she didn't want to say anything until I said something. So one night I said something, and she said, well, I wasn't going to say anything until...
But I think my exact words were, seriously?
So that's how that came to be. And that was a couple of weeks ago now, and we hit the ground running. And here we are. So
And in case you're wondering, this is Ivory. Some of you know him and some of you don't, but he is also part of our Joyful Notes program because he has his own little cartoon character. So he was being a little fussy, so we decided to have him here where he'd be quiet instead of down there where he wouldn't be. So yes, we're very glad to have you. I've been trying for several years to be the one-man show. So I would create some product, and then I'd try to market it. And at that point I couldn't really do product creation, and then I get overwhelmed and everything would kind of slow down. So a year ago now, some of you know that I brought on a virtual assistant, and hi, April, if you're watching, and she does a great job, and she's helped me with a lot of the course production. So we're very thankful to have her. But we still needed more. She still helps me with a lot of the creative work. And so when James mentioned to me that he was thinking about that, I said, well, that would mean that I could go back to focusing more on my product creation and creating the books. So in case you aren't familiar with what we have, I have 4 piano books that I've written for kids. Oh, hi, April. I see you. So this is Lolly the lorikeet. He's a rainbow lorikeet, so he's very colorful, just like our books. And then we have Peggy Piano. And so how they work is, if I can get in here, find the page. Here's the table of contents, but I'm trying to find the first page. Here we go. So it's all color-coded. We have a colored keyboard, and there's a little template that cuts out and goes on the piano keyboard. And that shows the kids what color each key is considered. And then all of their music is all colored lines. So basically, whoa, we just disappeared. Apparently it doesn't like my book here. Okay, so basically how it works is they play by the color to know what note to play. And then the lines show short, medium, or long notes. And here we go again. This is still an experiment.
We're still playing with the technology here.
So anyways, short, medium, and long notes, and then they play short, medium, and long note sounds. So that's basically how it works. They get into more, we released our 4th book in January of this year. And so at this point, they're starting to look more like notes. They have stems. Some of them have flags for eighth notes. They have hollows for the half notes and whole notes. And we're struggling here again. Just go ahead back a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then they also have dotted notes, and they've also added one sharp and one flat. So they do increase their knowledge in music as they go, but the benefit of it is that the very first lesson, they finish the lesson being able to play at least one or two songs. And that's such a boost of confidence for kids. So we just did a market on Saturday, and I had one little girl playing my little mini piano, trying out the book. And I asked her afterwards how old she was, and she went like this. So she was only 3. She played all the way through Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and did a great job. So it really works well with young children. So that's kind of what we do. It also works very well for students with different learning disabilities. I created it for an autistic student. So one of my big passions is to get it in the hands of a lot of neurodivergent kids. So that's kind of a little bit of what the books are. And then, as you see in the backdrop, we are sitting in the rainforest town of Rainbowville. So then we also have an online course where I teach the books, and it includes animated stories that take place right here in Rainbowville. And Lolly the Lorikeet, Peggy Piano show up, and they teach the other little characters in the town all of the musical concepts in the book. So kids get to learn by stories, which is a really big thing because they learn without even really knowing they're learning. And then they remember it later. And then the stories also teach the biblical truths that are contained in the songs of each lesson and helps them to remember it that way too. So in case you don't know what we do, that's what we're doing. So I have the whole level 1 set of books completed. We're almost done the level 1 online course. In January, then we'll start with producing level 2 books and course together. So that's a little bit of what we do.
Yeah, because it's faith-based, one of the things that, of course, parents are careful of is kind of what exactly their children are watching. And one of the nice things about this curriculum is you don't have to worry about that. It's all faith-based. And so there's nothing like that. And so Angela mentioned... I'm
going to cut in there while you're mentioning that. Because it is faith-based stories, there's also a lot of parents that I have just the songs and stories option that's a whole lot cheaper than the actual course with all the teaching material in it. So just the songs and stories option later this week be on sale for $3 a month. There's also a yearly plan as well. So that's something that you can get even if your kids are already taking piano lessons and they already read music, or maybe they're young enough they're not ready yet, but they can get to know the stories and the songs. Or maybe they're not even interested in piano lessons, but you just want something that they can watch that you trust. And that's a really great option for very cheap that you can check in later this week too.
Yeah, when I was just seeing the counter go up here, it was 2, 3, 4. And if you are watching, why don't you just comment where you're from, where you're watching us from? That would be great. As Angela mentioned earlier, we're in the Greater Toronto area of the province of Ontario in Canada, which is the basically the southernmost part of the country. And as I always like to say, we're south of most of the northern U.S. states. So,
it's about like a quarter of the U.S. is actually further north than we are, I think.
Something like that, yeah. So yeah, we got Christmas coming up, and Angela mentioned that earlier with our Christmas market. We'll mention more about that a little bit later.
And if you are just joining right now, just to bring you up to speed on what we've already talked about. So James is coming full-time in working with Joyful Notes Piano, and we're really excited about that.
Yes, I'm really excited about that, and just just having the freedom and flexibility of being small business owners is just really exciting. So, so Christmas is coming up, and I just mentioned a couple minutes ago that we live in the southernmost part of Canada, southern Ontario. We're about 3 hours from Detroit, Michigan, about 2 hours from Buffalo, New York. But because we're in the southernmost part of the country, one of the things that's not guaranteed here is a white Christmas. So again, depending on where you're from, do you like white Christmases? You can comment. Do you normally get a white Christmas or not? Let us know. We'd be interested to hear that. But yeah, we're not guaranteed a white Christmas. We're not living up in I don't know, Calgary, further Edmonton, north, so we're not guaranteed that. A lot of Christmases over the last number of years have been green.
I think 4 years ago we thought it was going to be a green Christmas. It was green right up, and then like Christmas Eve, it snowed 3 to 6 inches. Woke up Christmas morning, it was beautiful. But then there's been other years since then that has not happened.
So I think there's kind of two ingredients for a classic Christmas. You got to have the cold, crisp air, and then you have to have the snow. So the first one's pretty much guaranteed here in Southern Ontario. We're gonna have cold air. It's already getting cold out. Today is one of those typical November gray days that's very cool. And
you like those.
Yeah, I like those. I think it has something to do probably with my Scottish background, but I will take a cool gray day any day over a hot kind of tropical day, a hot sunny day. So I know Angela thinks I'm strange with that, but
I don't necessarily like the really super hot weather either, but I do much prefer, even in the winter, if it's cold and crisp, I'm okay with that. If it's blue sky and sunny, then I'm good. Then I'm happy. But so April's saying from South Point, Ohio, is where she is. And it's been a few years since they've had a white Christmas.
Okay.
Yes. And as a kid, I don't remember that being a thing, really, because I grew up not right here, but an hour away.
So I'm originally from Southern Ontario. Shout out to the city of Waterloo. That's where I'm originally from. But I actually grew up in a tropical climate. So I don't take the cold air and the snow for granted because, so I grew up in the tropics. So it was always, for the most part, it was warm and sunny.
A couple of white Christmases when you visited here.
Here.
Otherwise, not so much. But as a kid, I always almost always remember it being a white Christmas. And then the last, I don't know, kind of remember that around when I was in college, because I was in college in South Carolina. And when I'd come back home from university, I'm like, I want snow. And then we'd have all these green Christmases during that time. So I don't know if I just don't remember it as a kid or if that's a little different or what that is. But so let us know whether you like a white Christmas or if you're somebody who much prefers to head to the heat. For me personally, heat and Christmas don't mix. I just can't do that. And I find it really hard to get in the Christmas spirit when it's hot. But I know some people like that.
Probably when you don't know anything else, you don't think about it.
Yes, that's probably true. Yeah. Although you do, even though that's what you grew up with.
Yeah, I still prefer you have a classic Christmas. You got to have snow and cold weather. So anyway, but yes, it is like a Scottish day here today with the dull gray scenery out there.
Have to have the lights on inside to see anything.
Yeah. But I like Canada better than Scotland because we have the fall foliage here in the fall. So
definitely.
I don't think they do.
But, I don't actually know that for sure. But.
So